just kind of ones that this is one I wanted to do for a while. So nice little Sam Adams. Everybody's got their beverages except me.
This was a difficult one for Jason to wrap his head around.
Yes.
Jason, you have where's your t-shirt?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Well, in honor of my hockey team's 55-year history, they just came off of their greatest road trip in franchise history, 10 out of a possible 12 points.
Nice.
Yeah. And also along with the beer, we're gonna do a little screwball peanut butter whiskey on a Friday. Cheers, big ears.
You got what, Megaforce on there, Pat?
It's my ode to Johnny
cool.
Z.
For Johnny Z.
That.
Nice. Nice.
Nice.
Nick's got his ski attire on.
Yes.
With his
I'm in my chalet.
Great call, Patrick. Everybody a toast, and everybody listening a toast to Johnny Z.
Yeah.
Such a huge influence for all of us. That dude made all of our lives.
I don't know about Nick so much, but
yeah, he did. Yeah. Trust me.
Still appreciated.
Yeah.
Yeah. He had some weird, I read what he had. It was some insane, I guess like a neurological thing or something. I don't know.
He was only what, 70?
69.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? If you're gonna go out on a 69, right, Nick?
No, that's sad biz, but I mean, literally, I can't think of another guy. I mean, he was so monstrous to think about. If he didn't get Metallica or Anthrax or like any of that, I mean, he single-handedly, like, almost allowed the scene to, blow up as much as oh my God, I'm having a total brain fart. Metal Blade guy.
Brian
Slagle. Yes.
Brian Slagle.
So Johnny Z and Brian Slagle. Slagle's like the West Coast Johnny Z.
Yeah. Yep.
For sure.
But
although Brian Slagle never put out a metal rap like Johnny Z did. That thing's terrible. The Lone Rager. Oh my God.
But this episode, on the Brave board, I've mentioned it probably several times over the years I've been on there. And to me, this was, what are your favorite transition albums? And what I always meant by that is an album that, like, you saw a definite change in sound. Maybe there was like the lineup changed and then the sound changed with that. Like, obviously with like Dio coming into Sabbath, Heaven and Hell and Mob Rules, those would be like transition albums. Anything that you could measure kind of the trajectory of the band, and then all of a sudden it just kind of, went in a different direction. Or if a band started out like not that great, and then all of a sudden they just hit their stride and kind of shot up, whatever anyone thinks transition, like whatever it means to them, I always thought about Chaos AD for me, because I do include everything from, the EP and the debut from Sepultura up to Arise is like one thing. And then all of a sudden Chaos AD came out, and it was a lot of albums in the early to mid 90s where a lot of these bands were kind of changing, and Testament Low was one. I know, Pat, you asked why. You're like, man, I'm kind of surprised you didn't have that on there.
I mean, I thought about it too, but I thought, you'll probably have it. And
yeah,
but
yeah, I mean, it's stuff like that. It's stuff like Samael, probably Ceremony of Opposites, where it, the stuff before that like Blood Ritual and Worship Hymn was like really different. And then Ceremony of Opposites kind of started delving into that more like electronic feel, but definitely an awesome album. Maybe some people would pick Passage for Samael. But that's why this is kind of, it's not as cut and dried, which is why I was like, I know, Jason, when you were asking, you know, well, what do you mean by transition? It was like, whatever you think it means, because it could be something different. I could say Chaos AD, and Pat could say, well, no, I think it's more like Beneath the Remains, because that's.
Yeah, I was going to say it would be Schizophrenia or Beneath the Remains, but yeah, I totally, the Chaos AD, I get that piece too.
It's like whatever in your,
yeah,
you personally just kind of clicked as like being that transition, like, you know, Suicidal Tendencies, How Will I Laugh Tomorrow. To me, that was such a jump from Join the Army.
Yeah.
It was so different. And so that I could have used something like that. Or Corrosion of Conformity Blind, which is such a stark contrast from what preceded it.
You could even almost say, then you could almost say Deliverance as
Yeah.
well, because it was like Blind shifting into that more, I don't want to say Southern, but that more pepper influenced stuff, which is kind of what they've overall maintained.
Yeah. No, I agree, because Deliverance, Blind is really kind of a weird one-off album, but when you get to Deliverance, it's pepper.
Yeah.
That's when COC really is like Pepper Keenan to me. Blind is Carl was on both.
It's like it's a one-off.
Yeah. But I was more interested in seeing, because Nick listens to so much black metal. I wanted to see what his ideas were on what he thought, you know.
Well, I didn't even choose a single black metal album for this, so
Yeah. But I figured that you would choose a power metal album, and
God did he.
But yeah,
you're welcome.
You can jump, like, with that being said, Nick, you can jump right into your first if you want.
All right, let's go power metal.
Nice.
I don't know. I mean, the first two albums were more speed metal for sure. And then after this, they went to three albums were more speed metal. And then after this, they went to more power metal, but this has a nice blend between the two. This is where they definitely started getting a little more, not folky, but more fantasy based for sure. There's still some of that stuff earlier, but this is where they started getting more acoustic guitar parts happening, more vocal layers. That what they're known for now is just how many tracks is Hansi singing on, like 84 different vocal tracks going on. Obviously talking about Somewhere Far Beyond, Blind Guardian. It's such a, because I don't really like their first three albums very much. And I think I heard, the first one I heard was Nightfall, and then I did Imaginations, and then I went to the first ones. I'm like, what, this is the same band? I mean, you could hear Hansi's voice, but it's just pretty much just straight up speed metal. And then I finally got to this one, and you can still definitely hear those speed metal influences and little thrashier parts for sure. But it got its hooks in me just because of how it's just definitely more fantasy folky kind of stuff going on. And of course, Hansi starts doing all of his more, you know, when it comes to the chorus, he was a little more humble back then and only had like 12 tracks of his vocals going on. 87 that are on like Man of the Opera. But just a freaking wicked album. It's still a raw aggressive, but it's you could definitely see Imaginations coming out after this. It was a logical journey to there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's got their best acoustics. You know, one of their staples, the Bard song in the Forest, is like one of their live masterpieces that it's like one of the songs they have to play.
Have you seen them live?
Yeah, I saw them once. I think on the Night of the Opera tour, like 2002 or something.
Cool. No, I'm going to say something probably. Well, first of all, this June it'll be the 30th anniversary of that album.
God.
Which is, we're all getting old, but something that, you guys are probably you're gonna kill me. I think of Hansi Kirsch, like I think of Andy Darris. I never really got into it. Something about his voice, I can't.
Couldn't disagree more.
The thing about Hansi, those
musically,
hate it.
What's up?
I mean, the thing about Hansi, the love him or hate him, it's him. No one has that style.
Dude. And I respect the guy a ton. This album though is, dude, it's so heavy. Some of these riffs are just, I know what you mean, because I love the first three, because to me they're almost like Blind Guardian was like Angel Dust, where the first several albums were really just kind of straight German speed metal, and then kind of morphed into more of like a power metal thing. But this album's really good. Like, let me put it this way: even though I don't like his voice, I don't like Andy Darris's voice, I don't own any Blind Guardian, but all of these are on my list from Imaginations back. I sampled a lot of the other ones. I couldn't get into them. This album rolls though. I was like, songs here and there I've heard, but
yeah, I was at the gym earlier this week, and knowing that Nick picked this, I put it on while I was working out, and I'm just like, this is a great pick. It's a great album. Everything that Nick said, it's raw, it's aggressive. Yeah, I love Hansi's voice. But yeah, I haven't listened to Blind Guardian in a while, and that's going to change. I take all those Blind Guardian CDs and throw them in the car. That'll be the commuter band probably next week.
Unlike you, Jason, I haven't listened to him in a while, and that's still going to stay the same. Well, and because in all honesty, this is the first Blind Guardian album I've ever listened to start to finish. I don't own any. I've never been a fan. I did see him back in 2002, 2003, something. But it was I could listen to it, but nothing grabbed me from it really that made me want to go back and check out more. I've never listened to any Demons and Wizards, none of that stuff either. But I know they're well revered, and I heard some of the earlier speed metal stuff, but honestly never listened to one all the way through. Was wanting to listen to the next album after this to see how that sounded, but never.
Imaginations. I think Imaginations is probably their best.
It's also they're one of those bands that put me off. Just the things that always put me off: the album cover, the font. I've mentioned it before. And then I remember, what's the one where it's all the people sitting around? Is that Nightfall or maybe 2006? No.
Night of the Opera.
Yeah, I think it's that one. Whenever I saw that cover, I was like, no.
I think that's, for me, when I always think Blind Guardian, I think of the more theatrical stuff in the later Blind Guardian era, which I know that's probably why you love it, Nick, if you really like Imaginations on. And that's, I don't know, unfairly, that's why I just kind of like pushed this other stuff to the side. And then listening to this, I was just thinking, like, just crazy, like the riffing. I was like straight up speed metal riffing. Do you know, Nick, like why? Because I always thought that the earlier stuff had kind of fantasy lyrics. At least, maybe I'm wrong, but I'm like looking at the album covers and
a little bit, but they weren't talking about elves and shit yet.
Okay.
And to be honest, like I probably heard those albums maybe twice each: Follow the Blind and that Battalions of Fear. I've probably just spun them twice in the 20 years I've owned them. So can't quite answer that 100% because I rarely go to those.
You know what I'm thinking of? That one of a buddy of mine, I remember we went to a store in Cleveland. The first one he ever got was Nightfall and Middle Earth.
Mhm.
That's the first one that I ever heard, and I was just kind of like, I know what you mean. Like the choruses were so epic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like layered vocals, and I really wasn't into power metal like that back then. So I know as Blind Guardian kind of got, at least, you know, like in the late 90s, early 2000s, they started getting like more and more popular. Than those early ones I heard, I was like, see, I like this stuff, you know. And but I could see what you mean by a transition, because the other stuff is just like straight in your face speed metal.
Yeah.
And then this does start, you get that a little more operatic or theatric, you know. But that was a good choice.
I know.
Nick, you crushed me after your 3 for 3 last episode. This one just, I was like, maybe this is the time. This is the time I'm going to get into Blind Guardian.
You can't all be immaculate like me, but
it made me write them. I have actually somewhere far beyond back. I wrote all those down.
Yeah.
To pick up, because I was just like, yeah, I want to have them. There's just, like I said, it's like those first 2 Angel Dust albums I have. They were re-released. I love those early Halloween albums like that. That's just all what it reminded, that German speed metal with like a huge fantasy element to it. So I can get past Hansi's vocals. Which I know is a stupid complaint, but oh well. I made you sit through Anthrax next, so. But
I've got some choice words for that.
Pat, why don't you go next?
I'm going to go with one that I'm kind of going to be talking out of my ass on, because it's a band I didn't really get into until after they were basically done. And they only had 3 real albums and they had a bunch of singles. So I got into them basically when they were kind of imploding as a band, and didn't put out any new material once I got into them. And that's 1987's Sisters of Mercy Floodland album. I picked that one, and that one, when we were discussing what to do for this episode, that one popped into my head like almost immediately. I was like, oh, I got to pick this album. And it's not entirely based on the sound, although the sound, I think, from all 3 of their albums is slightly different, but it all has that obvious common thread of Andrew Eldritch's voice in it. But this album, compared to the bulk of the singles, not all of them, and then their debut album, First and Last and Always, something with the production is just so much more full. It does have kind of some more epic-y sounding songs, which they continued on with, and then even added heavier guitars on their final album, Vision Thing. And I didn't actually know this until I was reading up on it, kind of getting ready for this episode, but they attribute those songs like This Corrosion and Dominion Mother Russia to, I guess, Jim Steinman was involved in those 2 songs, who's the Meatloaf guy, and
Yeah.
that makes sense because those tracks are just so over the top, operatic, so to speak, that, you know, I just had to pick this album because it's like Jason had mentioned,
Here.
kind of reminded him a little bit of the Cult. I think of when I listen to First and Last and Always, it kind of reminds me of the Cult's Love album. There's like a similarity there, and it's not just the vocals, you know, that baritone-y kind of voice, but it's also how the songs are, the style of the songs. And then the Cult, obviously, I could have picked them with their album Electric, how they transitioned into what they are more akin to now, but same with Sisters of Mercy.
No, this
Yeah, I was definitely getting to some of that, just that 80s synth pop goth stuff. Like it really reminded me of some, because I've seen that album cover 1,000 times, but I've never heard it. And I was definitely getting some of that midnight or mid '80s Cure vibe from it, so I was all about it. Some Joy Division and just any of that. I don't know what genre you would call that, but just that. There's a gothic
post-punk,
sort of, yeah, but obviously more electronic,
synth wave, something like that.
Yeah, just like any club, any goth club. We have one in Portland that's called the Lovecraft.
Yeah, they'll play this Corrosion. I guarantee it.
They do the goth the Friday night goth night dances, and I probably have heard these songs before at one of those.
Yeah, I mean, there was a place we used to go to in Colorado Springs in the early '90s, and it was always this Corrosion and Temple of Love, which is one of the early singles, which is awesome, by the way.
Yeah. I actually heard Temple of Love from a German goth band, Crematory. They covered it, and that's one of the first places that I've always seen the Sisters of Mercy album covers back then. But when Crematory, I thought, man, this is a really cool song. And it's one of the, you hear it and you're just like, I wonder if they wrote it. Like all the other songs don't sound like this. Then you look and it was credited to Sisters of Mercy, Andrew Eldred, and I thought, wow, that's really cool. That's what kind of got me into them, really.
Larson, Creator covers a song on this album.
Which song?
They do Lucretia, My Reflection. It's on their, what is it, Scenarios of Violence? Violence, that compilation.
The compilation.
They do a cover of it on that comp.
I will study that for sure.
Well, I'm when it comes to like 80s goth, I love that stuff. And so, I have the Sisters albums. Absolutely love it.
We lost Nick.
Nick.
We'll just keep going.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love the Sisters albums a lot. And bands that were their contemporaries or that kind of split off from them. The Mission was another band. This was actually produced by John Paul Jones from Zeppelin. The Mission rules. Absolutely love them.
Do you have the Sisterhood?
What's up?
Do you have the Sisterhood?
I don't have the Sisterhood. But my other favorite band, actually my top is Fields of the Nephilim. So 80s goth type stuff. But I know what you mean though, dude, by Floodland and going from First, Last, and Always to Floodland. And it is such a different album. You know what I mean? It's just like massive compared to, and it's like that with a lot of these other ones, like with Fields of the Nephilim, going from their debut to the second one, going from, like the Mission UK, going from the first chapter, to God's Own Medicine, stuff like that. The Cult was a perfect one, from Love to Electric.
Yeah,
totally get it. But this album I absolutely love.
I love all three of the studio albums. I mean, I think they're all like, I can interchange them at any time. I mean, I don't have one that's like a favorite of those three, because there's stuff on there I like. Plus, I like their compilation of all the singles, because I think Temple of Love is probably their best song, in my opinion. Or at least that's just my personal favorite. The re-release they did with it, with Ofra Haza singing, I like that version, but it's the original.
Here he's coming back.
Here he comes. Yeah, he said he said the internet dropped. I had to pick up the phone.
Oh, yeah, he called me and I was like right in the middle of talking. I texted him and I was just like, what happened?
Yeah, I
It's
don't,
funny when Nick mentioned that about like being in a club and probably hearing some of those songs and then thinking about the Cult, because you always then also heard She Sells Sanctuary, like in those same, like it'd go from This Corrosion or whatever on into the long version of She Sells Sanctuary,
Well, so here's
are,
what's up. Go ahead, Nick.
are you guys like cutting it? Because you guys are cutting in and out on me. You haven't the whole time. It's probably just because I'm up on the mountain and I'm not getting the best service. So
No, other than you cutting out just now, it's been
yeah,
totally clear for me.
It's been tits.
like
Nick,
you just
tits.
like kept you just froze again for like 2 seconds, but
All
right.
But yeah, Pat, years ago, Sisters of Mercy came to Cleveland, came to Blues, and so my wife and I were like, totally going. This is going to be amazing. I mean, she's obsessed with Floodland. It's probably her favorite album. Flood 1 is so good. And Lucretia, I mean, just everything on it, man. So we went up. I can't remember if there was an opener or not. If there was, who the hell knows? But the crowd was interesting to say the least. Bunch of freaks, and it was a cool vibe, It was like I was walking back into some 80s movie because of how everybody was dressed, and I'm there looking, with my metal shirts on and stuff. But then Sisters of Mercy comes out, and it's really Andrew Eldritch, and we didn't know what the hell was going on. It's just going, and the strobes and the smoke machines, and the smoke machines kept turning on the emergency lights, so they would come on, and everybody's like in the crowd doing this, and you literally couldn't hear what song was being played.
Yep.
It was almost like they were just lip syncing the whole thing. We didn't get it. And Andrew Eldritch was completely bald, and he just had these sunglasses on, didn't move, and he was just doing this the whole time.
Yep, and that's what you're describing is anyone I know that's seen, because like they were for years, because I knew they still did random shows or tours after they didn't exist, so they were on my bucket list for a long time. But anyone I know that's seen them describes the exact same thing. It's strobes, smoke, and just a wall of noise, and you're not going to know what the hell is being played, which is crazy because if you hear some of the live stuff, like on some of the singles from around Vision Thing, like there's a live version of Ribbons from Vision Thing, which I think is way better than the studio version, which I used to always kind of skip over, but now I don't, because that live version is just a little bit heavier and it pulls me in.
And this was when I'm sitting here thinking about it, I remember only seeing Andrew Eldritch and a guitar player.
Because they got it's just a drum machine is all they've used.
I couldn't see a bass player. We're just looking at the stage, and there were just two people on stage. And I remember my wife was just like, well, I'm here. Let's just, I'll just get some drinks. And I think we ended up leaving early because the emergency lights kept turning on. There was so much smoke. We weren't even near the stage, and the smoke was like, it was like some 80s vampire movie. Like you're walking through the trying to like...
That sounds exactly like an Ozzy Osbourne concert, Yeah.
It was weird, man. It was really, I don't know what I expected, but I didn't expect that. So it goes down with the Steve Grimmett concert as being one of the worst things.
One of the worst performances ever.
Yeah, and it's crazy because I love the band so much. And like I said, I love the Offshoot, like The Mission, and I love Fields of the Nephilim, and that was the one that came over here that I could go see. And Floodland is like perfect transition on, because it really is, to me, eons ahead of First, Last, and Always, which I still like, but I was surprised to see that on your list, to be honest with you.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. I love all of them,
Awesome. Jason, you're up.
I am up. Well, as far as this episode goes, I am the village idiot of this episode. Had a difficult.
Not just
What's that?
not just this episode.
Touche, Mr. Frank. Absolutely. So I'm gonna get my my Jumping the Shark album right out of the way to begin with. This artist he basically created who the guy is today and what I listen to. This guy began it all for me. And I was trying to think of what exactly to say as far as this album goes. And I kind of have an idea, and I want you guys to think if I'm actually full of shit or not. Which
you're full of shit.
Yeah, probably. So I'm going to compare him to another guitar solo artist in that era. I think
you're going to say
this
Sammy Hagar?
This is no. I think this is where he was trying to go and cash in on that cow, and this album just completely falls flat. So this is my Jumping the Shark transition album, to where I do not listen to it. I don't even own the album. I absolutely adore the guy's output before this album. I'll listen to them all. But as far as a transition album, to where I just stopped listening to him, and that is 1982's Ted Nugent's Nugent album. Not even the brilliant Derek St. Holmes is back on this album. He couldn't even save it.
Yeah, the album sucks, dude. The album fucking sucks.
Yeah. So I told the guys, I'm like, you do not have to listen to it all. You can stop after the first two. That is all you need to hear. Larson Love's 1975 self-titled album, Free for All, Cat Scratch Fever, Double Live Gonzo, Weekend Warriors, State of Shock, and even the Alive album, Intensities and 10 Cities, I'll listen to. And that all had, I was kind of thinking about this too, it all had that Nugent font on the album cover. And then this album leaves that font. And this is what I was thinking. This is 1982.
It's never a good sign.
What's that?
It's never a good sign when they change the logo.
Yeah,
I agree.
So I was kind of thinking, and this is where I want your input. And I've been kind of driving back and forth to work. And this is what I was thinking. It's 1982. Patrick brought up Sammy Hagar. I was thinking of Billy Squire.
Mm-hmm.
Billy Squire hits it big with Don't Say No. I remember this. And then Emotions in Motion come out, and he hits it big. This is 1980, 1981. I'm 10 years old when I hear Emotions in Motion, and I love it. Nugent's come out in 1982. I'm thinking.
Are you telling me you should have picked a Squire album instead of a Nugent album then?
No. I'm just trying to compare. I
get where you're going.
I'm just trying to think what Ted.
Parallels.
What Ted was thinking. I'm thinking Ted's thinking, I'm going to cash in on this. I can do what Squire is doing. Okay. I'm going to rebrand myself. I'm going to go in that route. I'm going to go commercial. I'm going to cash in. I'm going to share on that cash that Squire is bringing in the dough at this time. And I think it just falls flat.
This is 1982. I didn't know when it was when this came out, when I was listening to it, but I think one reason I hate this thing is because he kind of, I'm not a historian on the genre, but he seemed like he kind of laid out a blueprint for really shitty butt rock on this.
Yeah. Well,
It's like that could have been something from 1988 with the lyrics and the sound overall. Just like, oh my God.
That's the other thing I was thinking. This is the album where the Republican Ted is born, because he comes out with a Bounding Gag song, and it's a song about the Iranian hostage crisis. And the Republican Ted is born on this album. I think it's just my opinion. And Derek St. Holmes sings on a couple of tracks. I think he sings on the Tail Gunner song. Kip was mentioning this song rules, and I listened to it again, and I'm like, I can't do it.
You know why? It's because well, first of all, I've read Carmine's book, who plays drums on the album.
Yes.
And I think it's in his book, or just in other interviews I've seen, where he said the whole tour was a mess. That the whole thing was just, because it's the only album on, the whole thing was just. This is the one transition album that you're saying this was a transition for the worse.
For the worst.
Yeah.
It is Fonzarelli water skiing over the shark. And
you know what, man? It was like that. I mean, Penetrator, Little Miss Dangerous. If you can't lick them.
Yeah. Yep.
You know.
Yep.
That just kind of.
I got a question, since I did make it through this album probably 3 full times.
Jesus.
Well, I wanted to give it a shot. I mean, I couldn't do it all in one sitting.
What? And you can't listen to Blind Guardian, and you're listening to Ted?
No.
What?
This is a question for Jason and Kip, but when I was probably on the 3rd time hearing the song Ebony, it reminded me, like, I could hear Thin Lizzy doing that song.
Yeah, but that would have been cool, because it's.
Yeah, I know. But
that would have been Phil.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying, Pat. I think that his riffs were there, but it was like with Scream Dream back.
Yeah.
That to me was Sweaty Teddy. That was the Nuge.
Yeah. Did you guys watch any? Did you watch any of the videos? Like the videos for Bound and Gagged? Oh my God.
Yeah. It's awful. Dude. It's awful.
He just
the video for No Now. Jesus.
From like Scream Dream back, that was the Motor City Madman.
Yeah.
This was the album that he became a caricature of himself. And I do agree with the Billy Squire thing. That's a good call. I didn't even think about it, but it's really.
That's kind of what I was thinking. Maybe he's thinking, oh, I can go commercial, and here comes the dough.
I don't hate
doesn't come.
So it could be the push, like depending the label is like one, like, you know.
And if you do listen to the Ted Nugent story, I think, he mentions people were stealing from him. His management was stealing from him left and right. The guy was broke. Ted was flat broke. He's the hottest guitar player in the late 70s, and the dude is broke.
Mm-hmm.
So just bad management, bad decisions.
He didn't really do anything until the damn Yankees. I mean, he did stuff, but it really wasn't until the damn Yankees that he kind of became a little bit of a name again, in my opinion. Because from this album to, my God, if you can't lick them, lick them. Just
best album cover ever.
Yes. Yeah. The lady in the corner.
The box.
Nick, you got to see the album cover. It's priceless.
I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah, Ted Nugent's "If You Can't Lick 'Em, Lick 'Em." She's in boxing shorts. She has the boxing gloves.
Oh, I've seen that before. Yeah.
But no, those albums are like notorious. The thing is, there's songs I like on them. Like, I don't hate this as much as you guys probably did, because like with Tail Gunner and stuff, I could still hear those Ted riffs.
Yeah.
But they were just, the whole album is just watered down, and it doesn't have that
swagger. It's swagger.
Yeah, man.
It's complete. Yeah, it's Ted swagger, and it's gone. Ted
just standing on the cover, and he just doesn't look.
Yeah, he's not sweaty and doesn't have a beard. He's like, hey, I'm dressed up for my school picture.
Yeah, Yeah,
I mean,
his
just
guitar isn't a machine gun, and cannonballs aren't coming out of the guitar, and he's just standing there.
And now he's
Like, I'm
even-
gonna go from writing songs about sex to the Iran hostage crisis.
Hostage crisis. Yeah.
Now I've seen him. The first time I saw him was one of the 28 Kiss farewell tours. But he opened, and Tommy Aldridge was on drums, and he was great, man. Derek St. Holmes was not there, if I remember correctly. So it was Ted doing all the vocals. But as a guitar player, he's up there in my top 10.
Yeah.
Got to be top 15. He's absolutely amazing, and he'll never get the credit he deserves, not just because of this album, but because of his politics. And that's
Right.
I don't know, man. But yeah, from this to Lick 'Em, it really wasn't until Damn Yankees that those two albums that it was like, oh, hey, there's Ted Nugent. And it's not like those albums are classic Ted, but I love those albums, not really because of Ted, but because of Tommy Shaw and Jack Blades.
Yeah.
So,
And then I want to point out, after Damn Yankees, there's one album in the 90s that is listenable. It's called The Spirit of the Wild.
mhm.
That's the one I think we talked about before. That's the one with Fred Bear on it.
Yes. Yes.
That
Fred
song,
Bear
like-
is awesome. Kick-ass tunes. But I was going to bring up Fred Bear.
I've never seen Nick so quiet.
I've said all I need to say about that.
Yeah.
Have you heard his new tune that's coming out?
No, I haven't.
Dude, it's great.
Is
It
it?
sounds like the 70s stuff.
Oh, I
Okay.
thought he was going to be paired with Kid Rock, and he was going to be talking about Brandon and truckers in Ottawa and all kinds of shit.
Haunted by Mirrors is going to be in the picture with him.
I saw Foreigner was coming again, and I thought, dude, I'm going to see Foreigner. And then it was like, oh, they're opening for Kid Rock. And I was like, oh my God. Like, nah, no thanks.
But yeah, I wanted to bring up Fred Bear. Just a kick-ass tune. Awesome.
Yeah. I don't know. It was a surprising album because I never listened to it. I don't own it.
Mhm.
I have Scream Dream Back.
Right.
That's really all you need.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is like, this is pretty embarrassing, some of the tunes.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, this is, like I said, it's like Happy Days. It's Fonzie jumping off the ski jump, but instead of landing on his skis, he lands on his head.
well,
I think you're ready, Kip.
Yeah.
We're gonna pass the on that note, the baton goes to you.
so I'm gonna go with my first pick. I could have done, especially the ones that I was talking about at the beginning, like Testament, COC, Sepultura. I could have done those, but I thought, let me try to pick something a little different. And so I went with one of my favorite bands. This album, to me, some people may say the album prior to this one would be The Transition. This, to me, is when the band really kind of went grimy, dark, definitely different from the stuff that came before, which was only a couple of albums. It wasn't even that much. In fact, 2 albums. But this one is really kind of where they changed, and then they kind of continued along that trajectory. And that is Ministry. There you go. Land of Rape and Honey. Pat, I don't know if some people, when I was reading, some people were like, Twitch, maybe before this.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, because Twitch is definitely heavier than, obviously, anything is heavier than With Sympathy.
Yeah.
I mean, that Ted Nugent album is heavier than With Sympathy. But,
Yeah, this was
At
this
Twitch
album,
maybe, but this is the blueprint for where they went from here on out, basically.
yeah,
But
and it's
keeping this has just a little more of the Twitch element in it. This and a mind, I would say. And then after that, it's
this
I
was
don't know,
like
because there's a lot I haven't heard of the last couple albums, 3 albums, whatever.
this to me just was Stigmata, I mean everything on it, man. 1988. This thing is grimy. It's way different. Twitch is, I dig it, man. I love With Sympathy and Twitch. Very different. And like I said, some people could have chosen Twitch and I would have been fine with that. But to me, it was more sound or less sound and more the vibe of the band. And this is when it was like, all right, we're just going to go straight heroin.
Great aggression too.
Yeah.
Here.
And I remember reading a long time ago where he said that Al Jorgensen, where he said he got, I think they were in Wisconsin or Minnesota, and he saw this written on a bathroom wall or something, the land of rape and honey. Because somebody was like, where did you get that from? And he was like, oh, I think they were on tour. I can't remember exactly, but
It's probably in Canton.
and but yeah, man, my first one was Psalm 69 because that was kind of like the big one. It was on
Yeah,
MTV.
they exploded with that album.
Yeah, New World Order was on that. Beavis and Butthead made fun of that song. But The Mind is a Terrible Thing to Taste is.
That's my first one. That's when I heard.
Were you a fan? Do you like?
Oh yeah, those albums. Oh, the Mind is a Terrible Thing to Taste is, to me, that's, as far as industrial metal goes, that's at the top.
Mhm.
Yeah,
That's number one.
That's also the first. That's the first one I heard.
That's number one.
What
Dude,
about
that was-
you,
just
that was-
thieves, just opener, and I'm like, oh my god, this is raging. And I was in college, and I was looking for different things, and that came around.
Have you ever
and I'm
seen Jason? Have you ever seen in case you didn't feel like showing up live, the video?
No, I haven't.
Watch that thing. That thing is awesome.
Mhm.
I mean, the CD is great too. It's a lot.
Yeah, I've got it. I've got it.
Yeah,
got it.
I mean, watch the video because they're like
Yeah.
playing like kind of like a cage.
Yeah.
You
So
know,
I've got Rape and Honey. I've got The Mind is a Terrible Thing to Taste. I've got In Case You Didn't Feel Like Showing Up Live. I've got Psalm 69. What was after that? And then I just left.
There's
was after
there's
Psalm
some stuff
69?
after
What was after Psalm 69?
wasn't it? Didn't he have a long break? And it was like, oh no, he had like Dark Side of the Spoon and
there's Animosity, Filth Pig.
Filth
Phil
Pig.
Pig, the one with the
Filth Pig. That was it. And
Yeah.
I was like,
Then
Yeah, I've heard
it
enough.
went really political, like really
like
political.
that one there, the House of the Mole or whatever it's called. That one, me, is going back. In my opinion, goes back a little more towards like
Yeah.
Psalms.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a really good album. The last one I really care about. But Nick, just so you know, I don't know if you've ever seen this. So going from what he looks like now to,
Yeah.
you know, back then with the fake British accent. I always thought they were a British band because I thought, is this the same band? Why is he singing like he's British?
Is that the With Sympathy? Is that
Yeah.
what-
Yeah.
I remember reading that they bought or got the rights to their master tapes, and then they actually had a burning party and like burned the master tapes for With Sympathy on a grill.
Is Ministry from Canton? Because that would be great.
Well, he's such a screw up. Like with, I don't know much about him now, other than the fact that he looks like a human pincushion with all the shit.
Yeah,
in
and
his
a
face.
couple missing teeth or whatever.
Yeah, and he's just he told, it was in an interview, he was talking about how he was so blowed out on heroin back in the day that Keith Richards came to his house to score drug. Like he
I
didn't
was
even
gonna
know
say,
he
you
was
got any
there.
left? You got any left, Al?
No, he didn't even know he was there. Al Jordan said he passed out on the couch.
Jesus.
And then when he woke up, somebody was like, dude, you totally missed Keith Richards or something. And he was like, huh? And they were like, we tried to wake you up, but you were just like high and you wouldn't. But that's where this starts to me. I don't get that vibe from Twitch. You know, this is like in the Skinny Puppy vein where it starts that really dark, kind of makes you, you know.
Yeah, that was just my takeaway from it. I wasn't huge on that album, but I maybe want to listen to KMFDM or Skinny Puppy.
Do you like that kind of stuff, Nick? I don't know if
I mean, I'm not a huge fan, but I do. I mean, anything Skinny Puppy and like that middle era, like Nile of KMFDM is really, really good.
Yeah, I love Skinny Puppy as well, especially the early stuff. But this, The Mind, Psalm 69, that's like the Holy Trinity. And then that live album, in case you didn't feel like showing up, which is an awesome title for a live album. But to me, wasn't there, I remember there was a fight going on between Rob Zombie back in the day and Al Jorgensen, because I think it was Al Jorgensen said Rob Zombie stole his look.
Yeah, so whoever has the worst looking shit wig.
And leather cowboy hat.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it. Because I remember when I saw the video for New World Order, I thought, huh, yeah, it looks kind of like Rob Zombie. But yeah, I think they were kind of going back and forth about the look. But this to me is the one that's really kind of made Ministry what they are, as far as I'm concerned.
They put on a great show. I mean, they're a killer live band, you know.
I know they're going to be here in a couple weeks with a pretty sweet lineup, and in fact, I think COC might be opening for them. I've never seen him, never, and he's kind of like, I like the dark stuff. The political stuff, to me, I was like, it just got too much, where I was like, come on, man. He's like Ted Nugent of industrial. But yeah, that's definitely my first choice. This house is The Last Sucker. That's what this one is that I love. But I always thought the packaging was sweet in it. Awesome album. But anyway, Rape and Honey, that's my first choice.
Nice. All right, Nick.
Round two. Probably one of my top 5 favorite bands ever. One of the most consistent bands ever, and not just musical quality, but lineup. I don't think they've ever had a single lineup change in their 20 plus years they've been together. They started off definitely more black metal. They got definitely, they're just their demo pretty much. Their demos before the first album was pretty rawish black metal. And then on their first and second album, they went pretty hardcore on the folk metal, but still with blackened vocals. And then a little bit later on, they kind of started going more black metal again with definitely folky touches, but not as much as the first 2 albums. But this third album of theirs is just perfect balance of the earlier, I want to say happy, but a little more peppy folk metal stuff, and then getting into the more serious, drawn out songs that are pushing 10 minutes or more. And that is the third album by Moonsara, Kevin Kantaya. Oh God, just a flawless album. And like I said, so I first heard them, their second album, Voimasta Yakuni Yasta, when that came out. And I loved it, but that has some of those like accordion breaks and like the hand claps and the hey chants and stuff. And I love that album, and I thought it was always going to be my favorite album by them. But over the years, as more listened to Kevin Kantaya, they took a more serious note for sure. with this, and ever since then, I hate to say it, but epic. And this is the start of that journey for sure. That there's not a bad fucking riff on this whole goddamn album, and it still brings in the accordion, but without the corniness of maybe some of the first two albums for sure.
This is
Well,
this is what I like about this group that I've joined. Believe it or not, you guys, I've listened to this album multiple times. I am very much starting to appreciate and embrace Moon Sorrow. It's fantastic. I will buy this album soon.
I think
this is
it's
what's
probably
cool about this page. This is awesome. This is a really good album.
Just so you know, Jay, they put a box set out that you can get pretty much all the albums. I think it's 4 full lengths and an EP. But this is in it.
They don't have a bad album at all. Like, I mean, there's not a wasted song. There's some albums I like more, but there's not I think I have 8 now, but there's not a stinker, and they're like, ugh. I mean, everything is at least in my book an A- or better.
Yeah. I mean, I think that I only have the first 3, and then I have the 5th, but I don't have the one immediately following this or a couple more recent ones. So I definitely need to check those out. But Jason, check out the 5th album. It's
5th album.
It's in like 40 minutes plus.
Yeah,
long.
when he goes clean, dude, it's rad.
This is my favorite.
That's the 4th one. Avidity.
I've never heard that one, and I need to check.
That's they actually bring back blast beats on that one. There's no blast beats in the first 3 albums, but the first song on there's some blasting going on. Still, not dirty or aggressive and like just filthy like Finnish black metal can be. But that's a dark ass. That one took me a couple years to really wrap my head around because it was such a shift from the first 3 for sure.
Have you ever seen them, Nick?
Yeah, I've seen them 3 or 4 times. I saw them on their first ever. I flew to Minnesota for the Heathen Crusade. It was their first ever show with Primordial's first ever show and Tearfing's first U.S. show. That was great.
Do you have what is it? Suden Uni? Is that how you say it?
That's the first one. Suden Uni. Yeah.
I don't think I've never heard that. I've heard Voimasta.
Yeah, Voimasta is my favorite, but then again, I only have 4 of them. But Voimasta is my favorite.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with that one. But that one has definitely more of that. I think Moonstar kind of saw the writing on the wall with folk metal. They kind of helped start off some of those bands that like Korpiklani and those other bands that took the cheesiness of folk metal. And I think Moonstar was like, okay, I see where this is going, where it's kind of getting a little insincere. So I think that's what kind of started to definitely become a little more of a serious band, because I didn't want to be lumped in with fucking Ailstorm and other garbage bands.
They saw the rowing. Rowing, and
they saw the rowing on the wall.
They saw the rowing on the wall.
Yeah.
Or on the floor, I guess. Yeah.
This is one
But
band.
Jason, you blew me away twice tonight. You like Moon Sorrow and you own Ministry albums.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm shocked, Jason.
Really? Yeah.
And you don't own Ted Nugent, who you fucking.
I do not own Ted Nugent's Nugent. I
don't know what's more shocking, that or the fact that Pat listened to Nugent 3 times.
3 times.
Hey,
Come
we
on.
had 2 weeks to prep, and once Larson got his congruent, his congruent head around the assignment, he got out his picks.
The congruent platonic solids.
Yeah, I was like, I gotta at least give it a shot, because like Moon Sorrow, I knew.
You could have had any album 3 times, and you chose the Nugent.
You chose Nugent.
No, I listened to
the
other ones, but
who the hell do these people think they are?
well, I was hoping for, like, when Nick said, I really wanted to make you all listen to the Midnight Betrothed, like you're gonna hate it, basically. I was hoping it was gonna be like this reverse psychology thing, like, oh, you don't really need to listen to the Nugent album. So I was like, oh, This thing may be fucking awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what, Moon Sorrow, Midnight Betrothed. Moon Sorrow, Midnight Betrothed. I'm just not there yet. Baby steps. I'm like Bill Murray. Baby steps.
Like I said the last time, man, Jason, I get stoked because it's like almost every episode you're just like, yeah, I dug this. And
Dude, yeah, the Moon Sorrow's killer. It really is. I'm like, oh my God, I want to listen to that again. Am I okay? Is something wrong with me? Do I have cancer?
I don't know. There's nothing. There's something wrong with listening to Nugent 3 times.
Is my ass gonna fall off? Which would be a good thing.
No, man, this Moon Sorrow is great, and I know what you mean, Nick. How it's like these guys to me, I never put them in the same as like Hailstorm or
Oh hell no.
or because these guys like stayed, they got serious, and it was like they're the band, the go-to for like this kind of finished music. And this, to me, I love this band. I love them, but I don't listen to as much as I should. But every time I do to them, I'm like, oh my God,
Yeah.
And I want to tell you guys that Corpaclani, all right, Josh, my 19-year-old son, they're known. They're known around the high schools and stuff. And Josh comes up to me
because of Moon Sorrow.
He's like, Dad, when you listen to Corpaclani, do you want to drink? Do you want to get drunk? And I'm like, I don't know. Play some. Maybe I'll just start drinking right now.
Well, they have a song called Tequila. They have a song called Vodka. They have a song called Beer, and they have a song called Jägermeister. So
yes, that's the one he played.
So they're like a Finnish hell yeah. That's what
they're like a Finnish tankard.
Yeah. Only not good.
Yeah.
And we all know what Metal King thinks about tankard. They're like on
Just be, you know what? Just be glad it's Corpaclani that he's coming home talking about. If he comes home and he shows you that Nugent album, you need to kick him the hell out.
Dad, Bound and Gagged. Dad.
No,
God, who the hell do those people think they are?
Arousing feelings in me.
Oh man, no,
Nice.
Another good pick, man. This is
I know.
Nick, thank you again. Nick's 2 for 2, as far as I'm concerned. For Patty's 1 for 2. Nick's batting 1,000 with me, for sure.
Wait, I'm 1 for 2?
No, you're 1 for 1 right now with the Sisters of Mercy.
Sounds like I haven't done a second.
All right, this is where he fucks it up, though. This is where he goes 500.
It's where he goes 500.
moving on to you, Pat.
Here we go. Here it comes.
All right, I'm going to go with another album from 1987, since Floodland was 87. This was a band that I had one of their earlier EPs, and my buddy down the street had another one of their early EPs, as well as their album from their previous band that they spawned into this band. And anyhow, we went down to, if Dickinson, North Dakota has projects, we rode our bikes down to our buddy's house on Noctway Drive, which was like the little project of Dickinson, North Dakota. And he said, man, I got this album from Celtic Frost. It's their new album. And it's this, but check out the first song. And the first song on it was a cover of Mexican Radio. 5 or 6 years old, which was such a bizarre, but when we listened to it, we're like, holy shit, this is great, because it sounded like Celtic Frost, but it's just so off, that song. But the reason
And the fact that it's track 1. Like,
oh, that's such a weird, like, hey, here's a song that's not even a decade old, and it's kind of like a top 40 hit, from 81, 82, something around there, and we're going to lead off our album with it. This album cover too, it's like, you look at it, but and we hadn't heard full length, to Megatherion when we listened to this album, but we did end up getting that probably within that year as well. And it's one of those that this one kind of polarizes some fans, unlike the album they shifted into, because it does have some more of that experimental type Celtic Frostism. It has total Celtic Frost songs, but then it also has where they went with the next album, which was the abomination known as Cold Lake, which was interesting to a degree, but nothing worthy, I guess I would say. But this one, as many people say, either like the Morbid Tales EP or To Megatherion, still my go-to Celtic Frost album, or Celtic Frost, however you pronounce it, and I think it's the perfect transition from the early, we're just barely proficient at our instruments, on into actually being able to play. And then, they had some lineup changes after this album and whatnot. But also, to me, it's kind of almost a transition. Like, to me, this album is closer to Monotheist, which was their comeback album, or even the Apollyon Sun stuff that Tom Warrior does, than the early Frost albums.
Yeah, what year was Monotheist?
05 or something.
I was gonna say it was in the 2000s, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It was 2000s.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely more of a Megatherion guy.
To Megatherion's a great album. I mean, that's of classic Celtic Frost. It's like that sound. This one just happens to be my favorite because I actually did like the song Mexican Radio by Wall of Voodoo. So when I heard this, I was like, oh, I'm into metal, and of course I'm gonna love it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really, really great album, especially on the riffage part. But I don't know, something about this album which doesn't really sit well with me is just Tom's vocals. I don't know, I don't know what the hell he's doing on this album.
No, I agree, Nick. That's my. I think it's a great transition album because I know what you're talking about, because it's weird. This is your favorite?
It's totally between those two worlds.
Yeah.
I mean, you see, like, you don't know that Cold Lake's coming, but when it comes, you think about like I Won't Dance, songs like that you're like, oh, okay, yeah, Cold Lake is the natural progression or regression from this album,
This was just the Mexican Radio cover always turned me off anytime I saw the album, and it's the one that I don't own this or Cold Lake. I own the other ones, but I don't own Cold Lake for obvious reasons because it's absolute trash. But this is just it's weird. It's like, first, I agree with Nick with his vocals, because they're the earlier vocals, like To Megatherion, Morbid Tales, he's just like there in your face, the grunting, he's got like that anger to it. This, it was almost like he wasn't as serious. I don't know. He was like doing new things with it, but it just didn't sound right. And musically, you're right, Pat. It's like in this weird like purgatory.
Yeah, you've got classic Celtic Frost, and maybe even some of the utter shit of Hellhammer, and then you've also got I Won't Dance. It's like,
Yeah.
And then it's got the One in Their Pride. The little thing, because Cold Lake had Human. The little, I wouldn't call it rap because it's not. It's just more of like I don't know. It's bullshit, but it's.
Yeah. No, this was like the perfect, also another perfect transition album, because you can hear, you listen to it and you think, man, there's something going on here. They're starting to like transition into something else. And then here comes Cold Lake.
Yeah.
Who's it on the board that's Cold Lake is the only album he likes by them? Is that Crawl?
Is that Crawl?
Carl likes Cold Lake and he loves Turbo from Judas Priest. Okay, Crawl. I love the guy. I shaved when he told, as far as Crawl goes, when he said he had cancer, I shaved my head in honor of him. Of course, I didn't lose a whole lot of hair, but yeah, I love Crawl, love the guy. But yeah, as far as his Judas Priest taste goes, I'm like,
hey, I like Turbo, but
I think he needs to go jump in a lake.
Yeah, a cold one.
A cold one.
I like Turbo, but I can't give him.
No, you don't.
Yeah,
You're full of shit. Just don't even go there.
dude, it's got some good out in the cold.
When
Reckless.
Rob Halford starts doing this.
Oh no, I'll give you some.
Nah, dude.
Some good tunes.
Rob, stop. Rob, stop. You are not Thompson twins. No.
No, but yeah, this and this is one path that a lot of people don't really talk about too much. They talk about Two Megatherion for obvious reasons, or Cold Lake for obvious reasons. And this is like that one album that people just kind of don't really, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, but like Inner Sanctum, total Celtic Frost,
Yeah. No,
I
another
love the cover. I love the Mexican radio cover. I was getting the way Tom sings on this album. I was getting a Tommy Barron connection with it. It kind of sounds like Coroner, and
they were, Coroner were their roadies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where I get the connection.
I guess
from
if you could be considered a roadie when you're an unknown Swiss band touring around Switzerland and you have people carrying your guitars,
Yeah.
who happen to be way better musicians than you.
Oh, like thousandfold. Well, and actually, if you look on this is the Noise reissue from like early 2000s. That's Warrior wearing a Coroner shirt.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. My roadies are now better musicians than I am.
I think the roadies were better musicians,
Period.
like when they were 10 years old. I mean, you think about how we always used to laugh in that Mexican radio cover, when it would go into the double bass on the chorus, because it just was this little sloppy double bass.
I gotta say though, Tom Warrior is quite possibly one of the ugliest human beings I've ever seen in my life. That dude,
Well, until you run into Steve Grimmett and his stump.
But I mean, you talk like just Warrior on Cold Lake with like the teased, the hair.
Oh,
the LA Guns shirt.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I want to be like, dude.
He's got like a size 20 waist.
Oh my God. What is that one? Is it Cherry Orchards?
Yeah. That was the video.
Orchards. And then one dude like looks
Oh my
like
God.
and he's like pouting his lips. Oh my God.
Now I know why Crawl likes that one so much.
No, this is it forced me to listen to it. I probably listened to it a couple of times over the years, but it forced me to go back and listen to it, and I immediately skipped over the first track and just went to number 2. But
Yeah.
So no, another good one. So Jace, you're up.
I'm up. Well, okay, so now we're gonna go from transition to where I enjoy it. And we've talked about this thrash metal vocalist before. I think he's the best thrash metal vocalist I heard. I think this album came out in '94. I'm not going to look on the back of the CD cover because first of all, I'm a little lubed up with some Screwball peanut butter whiskey right now. So I'm going to end up losing my sight anyway here within the next half hour. So I think this album came out in 94. It's not thrash metal at all. 95. Came out in 95. I had just finished up my bachelor's degree at Fullerton. It was getting radio airplay. One song was getting on KLOS. And I thought, this is awesome. This is it. They finally are going to hit it big. They finally deserve it. But once again, Nick has we've talked about the name of the band and why they didn't hit it. And Nick was like, I think it's the name of the band. And I love this album. I think it's fantastic. I dare to not even call it metal. It's a hard rock album. And that is Flotsam and Jetsam's Drift. Love it. I even got Eric. I saw him at the Showcase Theater in Corona. I approached him and he wrote Jason Flots Till It Shows. Eric AK. So
what you're saying is, with this being hard rock, they no longer flots till death. They just flots.
It's just flots till it
flots
shows.
Till it shows.
Yeah, just till it shows. Once it shows, you stop. You stop.
Like Kipper was saying in the beginning earlier, to how just the mid 90s, early 90s changed a lot of bands, and most of them for the worst. And I think this is a prime example of that. I think this album sucks.
Like,
Wow.
I think the sound on this, I think the album sounds good, but I don't like it.
Yeah.
I mean, I've owned it.
Yeah, I happen to love it.
Years, and I
love it.
I went back and gave it some more shots. I like one song on here. I like Smoked Out. I think it's,
Yes, that was the radio song.
is it?
That was the song.
I don't like the
Airplay.
beginning of the song, but I like after the little intro starts.
Yeah,
I just I can't do it because the shift.
fair enough.
Well, I really hated the album before it too, Quattro.
Quattro, yeah.
And so it wasn't like a shock to me, and I don't think I bought it brand new when it came out. I probably waited a handful of years and then was trying to complete, any Flotsam collection, but it just, all the, whatever endeared Flotsam to me was gone
Sure.
prior to this album. And then this album didn't do anything to solidify, like, oh, hey, well, like I said, it sounds good. It's a crisp album, but
Yeah.
other
For
than
production, yeah, they're definitely just
yeah, it's a Kernan album.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's who I was gonna bring up. Auslander.
Yeah.
Auslander produced the album.
Yeah.
And I've
Yeah.
even messaged Neil. I'm like, I told him, I'm like, you did a fantastic job on this album. I adore it. I love it. I can listen to it anytime.
It just sounds like, they saw that grunge and alternative were the new thing, and they just tried to write something that was like that. And I mean, for what it is, it's good, but it's not what I want from that band.
Sure.
Well, I'll back you up, Jason. I like it. I always consider Quattro, Drift, and When the Storm Comes Down for some reason. Those are the three that I never really focused on. Like, to me, it was the first two. And then
Right.
the next
I think that's everybody.
Yeah.
It's just those are the two.
Well, you're
Doomsday
talking,
and No Place.
You're talking, like Nick was saying, 1990s. So many bands had to or chose to shift their sound because they were being influenced by what was going on in music, and
Well, I went back. Not only did I listen to this, but I also listened to Quattro and Storm, and I loved all three of them.
Yeah.
All
you
of them.
didn't listen to High.
No, I did listen to High.
Yeah, was that 97 or 98?
Yeah,
I don't remember.
It's 97.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one, because I kind of thought, man, I always thought those three albums were kind of the same for some reason. But then when I listened to Storm and Quattro, and then I listened to Drift, I could definitely see the transition.
Yeah,
How it was.
this is much more radio friendly.
Yeah,
For
I mean,
sure.
because Storm is still more aligned
Thrashy.
with those first two.
Mhm.
Quattro is kind of a middle-ish ground, and then this is holy shit, something completely different.
Right.
But I dig it a lot, man. Eric AK,
It's a great vocalist.
dude, he's so good.
Yeah.
Well, Jason, what does it say? Flots till
Flots, Jason, flots till it shows. Eric AK.
I think lots till it shows, or
Flots till it shows.
we're born to be cinematic. Which one you got?
he must be uncircumcised, you know. I gotta write that down. Flots till it shows.
Flots till
That's
it
like
shows.
climactic. Like
I always love the album cover too. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, that it was like John Lennon's sunglasses or something, like aviators. Yeah, I mean, I see at this distance, you kind of see aviator glasses, right? You know, this just looks like a forehead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I dig it, man. I kept trying to think of like, what album does this sound like? I can't think of one thing that sounds like this that I could like compare it to around that.
That's probably a good thing.
I think Nick, how did you describe it at the beginning?
It sucks.
I'm just happy that there isn't another album that sounds like it, because the world does not need another one of those.
Yeah.
What if it had pan flute? Would you be into it?
Of course.
What if Nick, what if they covered Mexican radio?
If they did it in the 80s or the aughts, that's fine, but not from the 90s, please.
90, not 95.
Oh, and then they had the gun song. Everybody had a gun song.
Oh, what?
12-year-old with a gun.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, 12-year-old with a gun.
Who's to
Yes.
blame? Sacred right.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I love Pick a Window.
Yeah.
Pick a Window, I think, is a great song. I don't think that they really started back until the self-titled in 2016. That's to me when they kind of came back, did it, and then just since then they've been going. It's not like I hate the stuff before it, but when I look back at some of the albums, there's some really cool stuff on the Cold and stuff like that. But this is a good transition album because it kind of.
Have you ever seen the cover to Unnatural Selection?
Yeah, like with the ants. They're like robotic
It's
ants.
like
or
a
something.
cop with a police dog, but then they've superimposed some giant ant that the cop is like holding.
Yeah, and then Marvel got a hold of that and we're like, Ant-Man. Thank you, Flotsam and Jetsam, for Ant-Man.
And I also didn't know the old bass player Jason Ward.
Yeah.
His brother was also in ministry.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I didn't either when I was like
crazy.
looking through this the other day, because I just on Metal Archives, and Jeff Ward was in ministry. I think they said he played for Nine Inch Nails live one time.
Yeah.
We're
not talking Jeff Ward, the Supercross rider, are we, from the mid-90s? Okay.
But no, another very cool album. Another album that Nick.
I was gonna say, sorry, Nick. Sorry, Pat, that I had to. That you guys had to
I owned it. It's
I'm
Flotsam. You know, it forced me to revisit it. You know,
I will.
Sorry.
I'll make Nick smile with this one. This to me was not only my first album of the band, but when I bought it, I went back and bought albums before it. And then I just thought, at the time, I just was like, holy shit, this is a mess. The album before it. This one, though, I thought, dude, what happened? Like, production wise, songwriting, the sound, everything was huge. I thought, man, if this is what black metal like can be. It was crazy. I mean, it was like life-changing album for me. And that's what I think this band transitioned from, Blizzard Beast or Battles in the Blizzard Beast to this.
Yeah.
It's such a strange transition.
Because Blizzard Beast has that shitty sound. I mean, because I think some of the earlier albums even have better sound than Blizzard Beasts, and that thing sounds just like a
Blizzard Beast. Like every song just stops immediately. Like it sounds like they just cut off in the middle of it.
Yeah. It just
and this, like what you're saying about a transition, is totally true, because not only the sound, but it's got all like what I would consider the immortalisms of just the riffing and their little like like that. But it's perfect.
Yeah, and it's like
Finally captured what they wanted.
And even the art too. Like no other album has the art like that. All the other albums have them on the cover except for this one, and the art is so freaking rad.
It's just
Kip, mine's the I got the Russian probably bootleg version.
holy crap.
Does Abbott do the spider dance on this album?
Yeah, that's his thing, man.
Okay.
Kind of.
All right, good.
But
Yeah,
Because I need the spider dance in order to listen to him.
I think part of it, the change of the sound, I think, is because Demon is or whatever the fuck his name is left, or he had to quit because of his carpal tunnel. So Abbott took over the guitar, and that definitely had something to do with. And the photos are just legendary.
Happy birthday, gentlemen.
Yeah.
well, and I think another big thing is having Peter from Hypocrisy produced in Abyss Studios. But I don't know, man. When it hits that riff on Withstand the Fall of Time, when it's like, as soon as I heard that, I remember being in the car driving back, as soon as I bought this, and I'm like, oh, this is really cool, and then it hits that riff. I got the goosebumps. I was like, holy shit, man, this thing is awesome. And that, like I said, when I went back and I bought Blizzard Beasts and stuff, I just thought, I love them now, but at the time I was like,
I got screwed.
I thought it was like, to me, it was like the first time that I bought a Venom album. I thought it was like it was just such a production, and I was like, what is going on? And Nick, like you said, Blizzard Beast, the songs there's no fade out. It's just like, it'll just be going, it'll just go, just stop, and then go into the next song.
The engineer in the room is like going like,
we ran out of tape.
Yeah. This album isn't like to me. It's almost not even like a transition. It's just like a black and white complete shift. Like it's not like a little bit of Blizzard Beasts at the Heart of Winter or Battles in the North, and then a little bit of Damned in Black and Sons. It's just like we're a new band now, pretty much. But this is my second favorite Immortal. Actually, like Pure Holocaust the most.
I mean, it's this Damned in Black, Sons of Northern Dark. This really, to me, that's a completely different band, like different sound.
It's like, because like from this album on, it's the riffs and that guitar tone, and just their little, when he does the little like I said, it's like that's on every Immortal album, pretty much every Immortal song from here on out.
And I would say, if it weren't for this, they would just be another Norwegian black metal band. That's my opinion. This really just exploded them in terms of like the metal scene.
I guess that might be one album where the logo change wasn't a sign of a bad thing.
Yes. But I don't know. I mean, going from
It's like they got more thrashy on this album from there on out. They got kind of black and thrash a little bit, as opposed to
yeah,
as opposed
Probably why I
Yes.
appreciate this album.
yeah.
Yeah.
that yeah. I just thought, all right, like this is.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love it. It's awesome.
Do you
That's
like?
awesome.
Did you like this, Jason?
I did listen. I listened to it all the way through. And I want to bring up Terry Osceola from the Brave Board. When we went to go to Toronto and pay our respects to Adrian, Mr. Pink Bunny. When I left, when we all went back home, Terry, who also went by his last name on the Brave Board, his handle was Osceola. Before that, it was Spooky Mulder. I don't remember his names before that.
Yeah, he had
Pulled
some.
me- What's that?
I can't remember.
Yeah. He pulled me aside and he's like, I want to give this to you as a gift. He wrapped it for me. And it was Immortal Northern Darkness. I love Antarctica. I love that song. So because of this, I have Sons of Northern Darkness in the car. It's the only Immortal album I've bought. And, you know, it's fun now to me. You know, once again, thanks to this page. I mean, as far as all the genre goes, the black metalness is the genre that's opened my mind up to the most because of this. So I can see myself within the next couple of months purchasing In the Heart of Winter.
I think you'd like it. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, if you like Northern Darkness, you should like this album.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, this, you know, they're back on the cover.
Yeah. Plus, you know, if you're gonna dance around like a spider, do it right.
I know
Just do
Nick,
it right.
yeah, and I know Nick isn't going to like this, but these guys kind of became like the Kiss of black metal,
Sure.
because it was over the top. Just
I can't believe in 2002 they toured with Manowar.
well, I got to see Immortal once, and it was on the Sons of Darkness tour, and it was unbelievable, man. And when they played that song Tyrants, well, first of all, they played a couple tracks off of At the Heart of Winter, and it was just monster sound. And when they played Tyrants off of Sons,
They do a dramatic pause.
oh, everybody was just that fists in the air, and I remember thinking, these guys really, this isn't like black metal. They really like the Kiss of black metal, but yeah, they're kind of like Manowar in black metal. They're like that. They got the riffs and they're just like pure metal. And this is what started it, was this album. Because I don't think anybody's really,
And it's too bad on that tour that they just didn't put the bands together and then separate them and have a Manamortal or a Immorwar. You know, it's. I would like to see that. That's all I'm just trying to say.
If this will show you where metal was in '99, you got your Immortal up here for At the Heart of Winter, and then you come down here and you got the Burning Red.
Instead of the Kings of Metal, you'd have the Kings of Tyrants.
Tyrants of Metal.
Tyrants of Metal.
Oh my God. I can't remember what show it was. It was up at the Flying Machine. Oh my God.
That sounds like a place that Immortal should play at, the Flying Machine.
They did play there. But I can't, this is probably like Iced Earth or something. And they were playing this album before the show. And I thought, I don't know why they're playing that here, dude. This album fucking blows. It's so bad. And I just remember one of the lines in the song. He's like, I don't know, but I think I know you too well. And I went, everybody was like, "What is this?" And then the guy that was like running the sound was like, "It's the new Machine Head." And it was like, it turned us off. And then I saw that picture, Pat, in like another metal magazine. I thought, what happened to that? But
Suddenly you were like, I would rather have Immortal with the belly out over the like bullet belt and leather versus the
the frosted tips with the so awful. But yeah, that's my other, there it is, transition album. So
All right.
6 songs. That's it.
Yeah.
Short and sweet, but it's great. So Nick, you're next.
All right.
Third
Final round. This is only the band's second album, and they were already transitioning after the first. The first is just pretty much straight up doom metal, and then again, that's another album I have, but I probably haven't listened to it in 15 years, so I barely remember what the hell it sounds like. I just know it's not nearly as memorable. It's not nearly as gothic. It's not nearly as melodic. It's sloppy. It's kind of just a mess. It's all over the place. They haven't found their sound yet. And then when this one came out, the goth was on. Of course, with the name My Dying Bride, they still had a goth tendency, but they really didn't find that sound, utilizing the violin, utilizing Aaron's clean vocals until they got to Turn Loose the Swans here, 91, back when Peaceville is fucking good, doing great shit. It's just the first song is like just piano and violin and Aaron's bizarre, clean crooning, singing. 8 minutes of just drab. It's depressing as all hell. They're probably on heroin at this point. I have no idea, but by the looks of them, they're all emaciated.
Yeah.
It's still doomy. It's slow as hell. It's heavy. But then the way they started utilizing Aaron, I think, the violin player, or Martin. Martin's keyboard and violin work becoming a lot more in the foreground. And then after this, they dropped all harsh vocals for 2 albums. And I do love those 2 albums. Actually, those are my more favorite albums by them. But this is just a great blend of the heavy doom in the beginning and the melancholic, heartstrung, over the top, cheesy, gothic, romantic lyrics. Yeah.
I cannot get into it at all.
Yep.
Yeah,
Can't do it.
I can't do it. Yeah.
Do you like any of My Dying Bride, Pat?
I have that one album, but no. I mean,
Is it that one? You have Turn Loose the Swans?
No, this is, so I listened to this, of course, but it's the one that's your favorite. What's it
Oh,
called?
like God to the Sun?
Yep, I have that
Yeah.
one. That's the only one I own. And so this was my first time hearing this album too, and I could not do it. I mean, I gave this one a shot, probably a good, maybe not as much as the Nugent, but 2 listens. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that says, because if you gave me the choice, I would take the My Dying Bride over the Nugent, but
I had to listen to the Nugent 3 times.
well, I won't ever listen to it again. Trust me.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
But I mean, I would not be opposed to, I mean, I would go back to My Dying Bride, at some point, if I'm in a rut and want to recheck something out, I would totally do it. But it just, I don't know. I can't.
That I'm actually shocked by that, because I think that along with the early Paradise Lost stuff, My Dying Bride, Peaceville.
Yeah, well, see, but Paradise Lost is another one that I don't get into. It's
Yeah. I don't know, man. I listened to the Moon Sorrow and I listened to the My Dying Bride, and I'm like, oh my God, there's just no comparison, So from my point of view, when you guys give me the 3 albums, it's like, I got to compare. And dude, Moon Sorrow just beats the crap out of My Dying Bride.
Well, that doesn't surprise me with you, Jason.
Right.
I am shocked that Pat wasn't this.
Well, I also think it might be the time that like all these came out, because it was that time frame when there was such a tumultuous time in metal or heavier music, and I was moving away to a certain extent from that kind of thing. So had I really gotten into it at the time, I'm sure, or if I'd have bought it new, I might have enjoyed it. But it's like going back, it's hard for me to just take it and embrace it, really.
No, this to me is, like I said, I think it's a classic Peaceville album, and I love it. A shame to say I don't own it. If I wrote As the Flower Withers and Turn Loose the Swans down on my list because I need to have those. I don't like his clean vocals. I can't get into his clean vocals. It really wasn't until, oh God, what could I have? Line of Deathless Kings. There's some songs on there that I thought this is some of the greatest doom, like gothic, melodic, whatever doom I've ever heard. Turn Loose the Swans, though, man, is, I get what you're saying, Nick, because yeah, like As the Flower Withers is, I think, more death metal.
Yeah.
It doesn't really have that like My Dying Bride vibe to it. This to me starts it. So still shocked that Pat he's not into it.
Yep, I also am not a big Sentenced fan.
Okay, well, thanks for coming out. And
I just
that one I can understand, because Sentenced to Mock would be a good transition album, because stuff before it, total death metal. And I remember when I bought a Mock, I was like, the hell's going on here,
but then I do like the old Catatonia and the shift into the new. I don't know. So there's not a, I mean, I don't know. I don't have a good reason for it.
No, I am.
Other than maybe that it was Nick picked it.
I'm as shocked that you don't like this as I am that Jason has a Ministry album.
Wow.
I'm just like, wow, like that. This to me is it's actually embarrassing to me that I don't own this already, because I think I showed you guys the other day, I only have two My Dying Bride albums, and that's it.
They're the two newest ones.
Yeah, that's it. So it's shameful, but
Nick, I'm gonna go re-listen to the one that I own. Give that one another shot, because you said.
Well, if you don't like his clean vocals, it's all clean, but the songs are.
It's not about clean. It's just something like. It just doesn't pull me in where I want to listen to it. I suddenly find myself like certain albums, you start listening to, and it's hard to do other things because you just want to really pay attention to the record. But I find myself paying bills or something to My Dying Bride.
Well, like Gods of the Sun is a little more condensed. Like I think the longest song on that one's like 6 minutes, and this one can get a little, sometimes My Dying Bride could extend a song for longer than they need to.
I have no problem with that. I like Dope Smoker. So
yeah,
that's like a really monotonous, repetitive album, but
yeah, because Kip doesn't know that I own a Ministry song. I'm truly burning inside.
Oh, jeez. No, I mean,
yeah, that's the alcohol talking right now.
Both of those little tidbits are shocking, but yeah, Nick, this along with Paradise Lost, along with like early Anathema, early Catatonia. I mean, these guys are like in that class of like heavy hitters with that type of.
I love the early Anathema as well. I mean, I think that's great. It's just something with this particular band, it just didn't click.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm thinking I might like the later My Dying Bride when it just goes all clean. but just I don't know. This album is actually too slow for me.
Yeah, we'll try like Gods of the Sun. That's definitely the probably most accessible album, which is weird. I like that one the most, but I think it might have been a time in my life that I needed that album. So that's okay. I just need to. Do you guys know how to remove contacts? Because I want to get rid of Patrick here on out of my phone.
No, Midnight Betrothed. Midnight Betrothed. Who's gonna let me know when the new Midnight Betrothed is coming out?
All right.
Please,
All right, then go for it, man.
please tell me you've listened to the Midnight Betrothed more than 3 times, though.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh fuck! I listen to that like 3 times every couple days. Both
Good.
the albums.
As long as it's more than the Nugent, you're good to go.
Yes. No, I mean that's in steady rotation.
Okay. Well, I got. Goes back to you, Pat.
Oh, okay. All right. So this is going back to 93. And actually,
I gotta grab this.
I did not hear this album until I saw them live on this tour in later 94. I had their second album, which was a full-time death metal album, and then I saw them live, and they were a little different. And I went and bought the album after the show, and it totally blew me away because it was such a transition from the first 2 albums, which were full-on Swedish death metal. And then they went to a sound that was still had elements of that death metal, and it had that guitar tone, but it was just the songs were not death metal songs. And that's
How about both?
You know, so this one, like I said, it captures some of the early death metal sound that they had, but it really showed to where the band was going and kind of where they've stayed. I mean, in a Celtic Frost kind of way, they really stripped it down a couple albums down the road and then started to slowly kind of come more back to Wolverine Blues.
Mhm.
But they never returned to the full-on death metal that were the first 2 albums. But this is one of those albums to me that if I had to pick one Entombed album, even though I think Clandestine, I love that album, Wolverine Blues is just the go-to for this band for me, because it's, you know, at the time, I know this one also kind of created a little bit of an uproar. People either really like it or they just kind of dropped Entombed from this album on. But honestly, this is the blueprint for how the band has gone since 93. And I mean, there's, other than maybe a couple of the lyrical parts of this album, I think it's a perfect album.
Yeah, I was shocked by it because I only really know Left Hand Path. I don't know much more about Entombed outside of that. So when I played that, I was taken aback, and I know it's Rocky Dennis's favorite, and it's more, you know, it's funny because it's, you know, Wolverine Blues, but actually has some like bluesy kind of feel to it.
It's rockish.
It's rock and roll almost, but it's like death metal rock and roll.
And that's what, because it kind of, what was the term that was coined from this? It was like death and roll, and I was like, I always thought that was a cheesy term, but I mean, it fits, you know, because there's other bands that have, you know, gone down this left-hand path. But you know, this to me is the classic Entombed album. You know, it's not the death metal Entombed, but to me, it's their definitive album. Because they have so much more material that's like this as opposed to those first 2 records.
Well, there were 2 albums that I got around the same time that were both on Columbia. One of them was this, and the other was that.
Church Obsessed.
Yeah, released on Columbia. And the reason I went for this was the reason probably that would piss the band off the most. This is my first Entombed, and it was because of the comic.
Yeah.
Because I thought, oh, that's kind of cool. You know, what is that? like Wolverine Blues. I wonder if they wrote it for, the comic, whatever. No, and it's like there's an actual
Wolverine comic inside it.
yeah, and this is my far and away my favorite Entomb. Nick, if you like Left Hand Path, you like clandestine or clandestine, that goes with Left Hand Path to me. And then this just, every song on it rocks. I mean, it just, I know it would piss a lot of Swedish death metal fans off, but there's nothing else I could say about it. It's just, it has like this hardcore like ethos to it or something, like this vibe that it's not just thrashy the whole time. It's got like
what's the Thomas Lindbergh band that he sang on a few albums for, that was more of a hardcore-ish type band? What the hell? It kind of had to have influenced that. What the hell is that? You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. The one was like, I can't remember the name of it. The one was like Misanthropic something, I think the album title. But yeah, it was more like Motorhead-ish hardcore. It's gonna piss me off as soon as I hear the name of it. But this is a perfect transition album because it did change.
Oh, Dysphere.
Yeah. But after this, I mean, you had To Ride, Shoot Straight, Speak the Truth.
Same Difference.
Yeah, Same Difference is like not even the same band to me.
No.
It's so different.
Like To Ride is close, like it follows in this, but yeah, Same Difference is like, who the hell is this? They were like, I think they went to Man's Ruin for a little bit,
This is excellent though, man. I mean, and you can always look at the band members to get an idea of whether or not they're going to change. I mean, the one dude's got a Dinosaur Jr. shirt on. The other guy, he's got a CBS Sports trucker hat on. But it's like, I don't know, man. This album is so good. Did you like it, Jason? I mean, are you
when I got on YouTube and played it, I got like a Sepultura feel with it. So I got through it. I enjoyed it.
That's a ringing endorsement.
I got through it. Enjoyed it.
I paid some bills and it was over.
Exactly.
And then I went on to Fates Warning.
Yeah, I completed my my statement of information report on my refi, and I got through it.
I bought a third car, and
yeah. So yeah, I was getting, you try to equate bands that you don't listen to with bands that you do listen to, and the band that popped into my mind was, it's kind of sounding like Sepultura right now. So, I remember, 20 years ago, I would have stopped that album at 30 seconds in, but now, I can listen to it more. Am I going to buy it? No. Am I going to
buy it for you? Yes. Which version do you want? Do you want the one with the moon surface cover, or do you want the one with the comic but it has one less song?
Or Pat, that's the alcohol talking. Pat, I can tell you that Josh will want the Marvel version of Entombed, maybe in Lego version.
Well, it's got one less song. It's shorter, so you'll like it more.
Here's the thing.
Is it 30 seconds long?
Mine does not have Out of Hand on the booklet, but on the back of the CD it has Out of Hand.
So you got like you've got the back cover. You've got the back cover to this, but the actual CD is this.
Yeah. I
And
don't
Out
know.
of Hand is one of the best songs.
Yeah.
It's like,
And then it's like the book that only goes.
Yeah.
I've always thought when I looked at that, I've always been like, because I'll look at this and then it'll stop on song 9, and I'm like, what
Yeah,
happened?
if Entombed has a Lego version, Josh would be all over it. He'd be all over it like Keeper's driver's license. I can tell you that right now.
Man, awesome.
There you go. That's pretty cool.
The band didn't think so, but I think
Well,
this
they
was
obviously don't get marketing. Freaking Entombed. What the hell? Would
yeah.
you like to make Marvel money Entombed? What the hell are you thinking?
It was that weird era where
Jason,
like
it was Entombed that introduced me to Amorphous, because they were opening for Entombed on this tour, and it was supposed to be, I want to say, Pungent Stench. And then when I was going into the venue, they had the little, set times listed, and it said
Yeah.
Amorphous, 8 to 9, and I said, isn't Pungent Stench playing? And they're like, no, it's this band Amorphous. And I was like, oh, okay. And I had never heard them before, and then from that set became a fan of them.
I was gonna say, and your world opened up to Amorphous.
Mhm.
And my world might open up tomorrow at the Permanent Records Roadhouse if I decide to drive out there and watch Nebula.
Oh, you should do it.
Yeah.
that's going to be a great.
And they will literally be that I can be 3 feet away from them.
Do it.
Literally.
So
At that
they
place.
is like a little.
It's a record store. It's a record store / bar.
You gotta go.
It's a great little place.
They were touring years ago, and my buddy Jason and I heard that they were supposed to play someplace in Akron called Annabelle's, and so we went. We walked in. There's nobody there.
Right.
So we're like, all right. My buddy's like, I'll grab a beer or something. We'll sit at the bar, and so we're just kind of hanging out. And I'm like, oh, there's nobody here, dude. And then the bartender comes. He's like, hey, I just want to ask you guys a question. Are you here for Nebula? We were like, yeah. And he said, well, we just got the phone call. They actually broke up, so they're not coming tonight. And we were. But then they ended up getting.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they ended up getting back together, and I think you'll like the name of this album if I can actually find it. Oh, here we go. This is kind of their reunion. The name of the album is Holy Shit.
Holy shit. Yeah.
But it's great, man.
Yeah.
It's excellent. But yeah, you should go. But it's
I am actually considering it.
if you
Absolutely.
if you like Fu Manchu, you got to go. I mean, there's
That's what I think that's unfair to Nebula though. I can't do that. I can't compare them to Fu Manchu because just Fu Manchu, as far as stoner metal goes or stoner rock, just shits all over everybody else.
See this, like I don't compare them, but they're connected. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, absolutely.
That's the reason. But
yeah.
And when I was into all of this kind of stuff, this was perfect. Albums like Wolverine Blues. When I was getting into all the heavy rock stuff and the stoner stuff in the late 90s, Wolverine Blues was like always kind of, it either fits into this kind of rotation, or if I'm listening to just like straight death metal, like old school death metal. And
but I think that's unfair to Nebula for me to compare him to Fu Manchu.
No, you can't. I mean,
it's
Nebula's more
because for those that are listening, Fu Manchu is going to be playing in Long Beach on February 19th, 2 weeks from tomorrow, and I mean I'm just so excited.
Yeah, lucky you, because they canceled my show.
Right. So I heard. So as far as I know, this show is still going
Yeah,
on.
it's a local show, so I think they're just touring the tour. They're canceling the tour, but you'll get those local shows still.
Yeah. Well, you're up next, Jay.
I am. Okay, well, my last transition album, I go to my gods of all that is progressive metal, and I'm upstairs here in my hallway, and this album really is, as far as this band goes, it was pretty mellow. As far as I think the year was 1990. This is the second album with the new singer. I know we were talking earlier, and some of us here in the group would have gone with the first album with the new singer, but I felt that first album still had it was still very metal, and it still had the very distortion sound. But then this album came along, and it just got metal. It just got mellower, and I really don't want to use the words mature or older, but after I listened to it, I was like, damn, this album is way mellower than Awaken and No Exit, but I still dug it. And he's not John Arch. Nobody will ever be John Arch. I think he's a good replacement for the band, and I dig this album, and that's Fate's Warning's Perfect Symmetry. And I see Pat has it also.
And I don't
First time.
I don't like it.
You don't like it? Yeah.
No, I don't like it.
Yeah.
I loved it. I thought it was freaking rad. I love this album. I've only heard Awaken, so it's definitely different than that. But
it's absolutely different.
That's probably my favorite album from the three of you, the ones that I hadn't heard before. That was the one I kind of the ones that I wasn't familiar with. So that was my favorite one for sure.
And it's just, Nick, it's so radio friendly. It's another band that I'm like, why didn't they hit it big? You got your Dream Theaters, you got your. It's just another one of those things. I don't get it. Maybe it's the name. I don't know. But I love everything about the band. I love Jim Mathios, Mark Zonder, Jim DiBiase, just everybody. And, I just don't get it why they just didn't hit it big.
Is that the alcohol talking? I love everybody.
I love it all. Guys, I love this page. So yeah,
Well, and I'm being a little harsh on it. I'm just saying I don't like it when I think about it in comparison to where they came from.
To where they were.
Right.
I know.
So it's like if you said, do you want Dream Theater or Fate's Warning, the Ray Alder years? I would take the Ray Alder years 10 out of 10. I can't get into Dream Theater at all. Never really have. Don't care for it. It's just always, when I listen to it, I'm always like, who is this? And like, I can't separate, the Arch stuff from this stuff. And I'm not a Ray Alder fan. I don't like his voice. Too kind of whiny for me. I mean, more so on No Exit than this album.
Okay.
But and I own all the albums except for the last one. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I keep buying them, but I just.
Because you love Jim Mathios. That's why. Dude's a genius. I don't know. Kip. I mean, Jim Mathios, here's the alcohol talking. Yeah, I love the guy. Dude's phenomenal. He's a great songwriter. He's like the Neil Diamond of Prague.
I would say that, like, I really like Parallels. Like, I do actually like that album overall, which is the one following this.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't say that I totally despise his vocals, but because that album I think is a great record. This one though is just, it is almost too mellow for me
Right.
for how they were.
Yeah.
And I think this to me was like, whenever I saw this is going to sound weird, but whenever I saw the packaging layout from a certain guy, who would be Hugh Syme, and he did a lot of the artwork
for Rush.
So he
He
did
worked with Rush.
He did. I think he did "Damn the Machine."
That's right.
Did some. I think he did Queensryche, maybe one or maybe
Yeah.
Promised Land, maybe.
Yeah, and I think he worked with Rush too, right?
Yeah, I think Rolling
Yeah.
Stones, maybe, or whenever I saw his artwork, I always thought, even though he has nothing to do with the music, I thought, okay, I can kind of tell, because obviously the bands I just mentioned, like Damn the Machine, Fates One, it's all going to be kind of this progressive
yeah.
metal.
Progressive rock. Yeah.
I love this. I like this more than No Exit, and I like it.
You really?
And I like it more than Parallels. Parallels to me is.
You have the 3 box.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's got demos, and then it's also got a DVD in it too.
And I think the old guy in the front of this, isn't that the guy from the
3 Different Eyes video? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he appears in the video too.
So it's I'll even go as far as saying I like this more than like the early stuff.
Yeah.
I like this album to me is like classic progressive Fates Warning, 100%.
Yeah. And I got to bring something else up there. I got a buddy of mine. I haven't spoken to him in years. His name is Todd Rubinak, and he used to sing in a thrash band called Comatose. And he used to practice with his band after Comatose called Pain Corp. And he used to practice with his band at Brian's place in Burbank, Brian Slagle's studio. And one night, Todd's like, come on by, we're practicing. I was told that night, Fates Warning is going to be practicing too. And I actually got to meet, I didn't meet all the guys. I did meet Ray. Ray's a great guy. He came up to me. We started talking, which, when a band like, for me, like Fates Warning, the guy comes up to me and he says hello and just starts talking to an average Joe like me.
You start talking like someone that's had a bunch of peanut butter whiskey.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So
what year was that?
Oh God, this is like 91.
Okay.
So right after this came out. Yeah.
Cool. No, I love this album a lot.
Yeah, I can play this anytime. I don't know. It's just like, to me, it's prog rock. It's no longer metal.
No, you're right. It absolutely is the transition to the later stuff, because they kind of hit this and then just went with it.
Yeah.
It just
like Nick, this is like where my true blue hairness comes out.
It's good.
We're talking 30 years ago.
Love it.
And I'm like,
this is something I want to track down for myself.
That surprises me too. So
yeah.
Nick, if you like it, you should check. If you like this one, you would probably like Parallels, because I think they go, to me, they're
parallel albums.
Yeah. Which is why Jason, the fucking math guy, likes that shit.
Parallel
Perfect
lines,
symmetry, parallels. It's like
this next one, my final one, I saved the best for last for Nick. No, he's gonna.
I'll,
Nick's like, my Wi-Fi just dropped again.
I do
Oh,
got
wait a
dinner.
minute. Wait a minute. My internet's flickering.
No, I mean this band. I love this band a ton, and everything before it. I mean, the album before this one is like quite possibly my favorite of theirs, other than this. But it all had like a certain vibe, a certain sound. I mean, it was just thrash metal. This is another one of those mid '90s albums where this band totally changed, not only in sound,
Very,
but also
very drift-like.
yeah, it also changed in vocals. With
sure
Joey
did.
Belladonna being out and John Bush from Armored Saint being in, and it's there you go. And dude, the song Black Lodge, very different song for them to do. It's weird. I was almost thinking another episode that we could do would be favorite albums versus favorite eras. This is my favorite album.
From Anthrax?
From Anthrax.
What? That's your favorite Anthrax album?
Yeah.
That album fucking sucks.
Do you have a head injury or something?
No.
Did you come back from dinner and get into an accident or something?
I love Anthrax. So
Wow.
my number two. It's like Persistence, Among the Living, Spreading the Disease are all like tied for number two. They're so good. But this one to me, it's just weird how an album just clicks with you. Every song on it, it's aggressive, but I think it's where they stop to me, because after this, they're kind of like they're in that things like camp of just sucking for 30 years almost, and I can't really get into anything else. I know people that love the Bush era more than the Belladonna era, and to me, it's Belladonna. It's Fistful of Metal with Neil Turbin.
Right.
I think a lot of people, shit all over Anthrax for, they shouldn't be part of the big four, and it's like Nick obviously agrees with that.
Right.
The big four of the shit bands, yeah.
100%. I think that they do belong, with the big. I mean, I love State of Euphoria. I love all of those albums. This to me, the reason why I like it so much, and why it's my favorite, because they had every excuse, getting a new singer, whatever. It could have been like not that great, but I love it. I mean, the song Only, Packaged Rebellion, the Invisible, High Pro Glow, like everything on it was just excellent. In '93, I was 14 years old. And
maybe that's it. Maybe it's that 10-year gap. So Nick, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, oh my God, Nick, I worship at John Bush and the Altar of Armored Saint. Oh my God, I love that band. Holy shit. The last album, Punch in the Sky, number 2 of 2020. Oh my God. And I love Anthrax with Belladonna, but you put Bush in Anthrax. I don't know, Pat, it did not work for me at all.
Yeah, I would say it did not work for me when it came out. Obviously I bought it, and I don't dislike the album. I mean, I listen to it periodically, but I'm also in that same camp, because to me it's like I love Anthrax with Belladonna.
Right.
I love Bush in Armored Saint.
That's me.
But this album, like, if you didn't have the Anthrax name on it, I wouldn't think of it as an Anthrax album. I don't hear Anthrax in the record.
No.
So to me, it's not a bad album. It's just not. It's not what I wanted from Anthrax. It's not what I wanted from Armored Saint.
It's weird that you say that, Pat, because there's another album that makes me think a completely different style, but there's another album that makes me think of that because it's a different vocalist, kind of different. To me, this is a transition because they went from being this classic thrash band with Persistence of Time.
Yep. It's a thrash band.
Dude, it's just like,
Yeah, it's totally like Drift, where it's heavier than Drift, but it's not thrash or speed metal.
no, and that's the thing. It's like this to me goes along with like Sepultura, Chaos AD, things like that, or albums like that. Maybe Machine Head, Burn My Eyes. And I think it was just that era of stuff that I was like really into. All of those albums, Burn My Eyes was after this, obviously, but Chaos AD, stuff like that. I mean, these albums were so huge for me in high school. And when I went back with Anthrax, everything was amazing. Everything. I love it. Persistence to me is like the heaviest album, the darkest album they ever put out. If I go after this, where they hit with this and then kind of transition, like
What was it? Stomp 442?
Stomp 442 or something like that.
it's just that sounds nothing like Anthrax to me.
Yeah.
Nothing. And I have my buddy Jason loves that album. He loves the Bush era and loves Volume 8. And I thought that not good. I don't even like the stuff when Belladonna came back. I think For All Kings, I think is that album.
Yeah,
I think Worship Music is good.
Okay, that's a good album. I don't mind that. I think For All Kings is the last one they did.
Yeah.
And I think that's not that great.
I don't own that one. So
It's like the last half.
Do I?
Nick has it. I know Nick owns it. And I didn't choose this purposely to torture you, Nick. I was just thinking.
You did a good job, though. You tortured me, for sure.
Did you actually listen to the whole thing?
I got like 5-6 songs in, and I just was fucking done.
It just
Nick, forgive me for butting in, but I learned, I forgot a couple of months ago, I'm listening to like some kind of a documentary on YouTube, and as Dave Mustaine left Metallica in 1981 or 82, I heard that John Bush was asked to sing, to be the vocalist for Metallica before Kill 'Em All. And I thought, oh my God, that probably would have been a disaster. John Bush is not a thrash metal vocalist. No. He's classic heavy metal. Just, John, please don't play thrash metal. You are a classic metal guy. And
he was at that last, I think it was 30th.
Yeah, the 30th Metallica. They had him come out
up there in San Francisco somewhere.
Yeah, it was fun. The club shows.
And it was fun. It was fun to listen to.
That's why to me this works, because this isn't really thrash. This is more like just kind of groove, like aggressive. And I think that's why it works. When he sings the older stuff, it doesn't work. I never liked it. You know what I mean? It's always kind of. I know this is going to
have this like, Black Lodge single.
What's that?
Do you have this Black Lodge single?
No, I do not.
Because it's got like 3 different variations of Black Lodge, and then it's got the Kiss cover, but then the last track, Jason may like too, it's got Cowboy Song and Lizzie.
Oh, wow.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll have to look that up on YouTube. Anthrax doing Cowboy Song.
Mm-hmm.
Nick, that's a classic Thin Lizzy song.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll listen to the Thin Lizzy. I'll listen to the Thin Lizzy version.
This to me.
God bless you for that. God bless you for that.
Listening to John Bush sing the thrash stuff was, and this is probably going to piss some people off, but it's like listening to Dio try to do the Ozzy stuff. I
Oh
I
God,
love-
yeah. Don't get me started on that. That's like,
dude, I love Dio.
yeah,
Yeah.
no,
Are you kidding me?
it's because it's nothing to me. It's not about John Bush or it's not about Dio. It's just like the two worlds don't mix.
Right. I get
You know,
it.
it's like him singing Paranoid and singing,
Right.
you know, but I was blind. And then he adds in that little, and I
Sure.
can't see. Yeah, no shit. That's what being blind is. I don't need to see. You know, it's like,
That's what. Yeah, man. No, it's like you said, Jay. He's not a thrash vocalist.
He is not.
So when he sings a lot, because I've seen, I mean, I've heard live albums, I've seen live stuff where he sings some of the old stuff, and I'm just like, some stuff on Spreading the Disease works because it's not straight thrash, you know, it's got just kind of,
Yeah.
But most of it, I can't do it. And I love John Bush. So
He's awesome. He's
But
so
this-
freaking awesome.
this to me was a transition in that everything after this became garbage as far as I'm concerned. Like you said, Nick, when they changed the logo, things changed. I think Stomp 442, they got rid of that. And I think it was just like a regular type font,
Yeah, it was.
Anthrax, Stomp 442. And it's like, whatever.
Yeah.
But
Well, thanks for that, Kip. I really appreciate you mentioning this album.
well, I love you for getting through 5 songs. I was laughing when I chose them. I'm like, dude, he's going to get not even 30 seconds into Potter's Field and turn it off. But
Yeah.
So
I just remember the shock because like me and my friends probably saw. What year did this come out?
93.
Yeah, so I want
God,
to.
it's that old.
Yeah, I want
Holy
to say.
shit, it's almost 30 years old.
I want to say it was probably around the summertime, and we were watching like Headbangers Ball, and the video for Only came on, and we were all huge Anthrax fans, and we knew that Belladonna had left and Bush had come in, and we saw that video, and we were all we sat there and we were like,
We were dumbfounded.
what the fuck was that?
Yeah,
Like
the same thing was said on the West Coast too, Pat. What the
Yeah.
fuck was that? Yeah.
like that was pretty anticlimactic.
Yeah.
You know.
Nick was saying that the other day when he listened to the first song. What was that?
I think the first riff, just like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Anyway, I got to bounce, you guys. I've got some family in town right now again, so
You got it, man. No.
I hate to go out on a shitty note like Anthrax, but yeah,
Save the
Arson. I love the Fates Warning,
That's
That was
cool,
great.
man. I appreciate that. That's cool.
and I like the Sisters of Mercy, Pat.
Yeah.
Kip, your choices were all pretty garbo, but
Well,
you can't win them all.
yeah, for me to jump in, since there's not going to be any baseball this season unless you go watch your college kids play. Nick hit a 2 for 3 for me. And Pat, I'm going to throw in Tomb to Bone. Pat had a 3 for 3 day. He's like Tony Gwynn at the plate. And Kip, you were a 2 for 3 with the Ministry and the Immortal. But as far as the Anthrax goes, I listened to more of it. I couldn't complete the album, but
You didn't get through it like you did the other one.
yeah,
Entombed.
yeah.
Oh, I take
Yeah,
it
like
back.
I
Sorry,
said, I actually got through the entire Entombed album.
I totally spaced that, Kip. Sorry, you had the Immortal. That's a fucking perfect album.
Well,
Yeah, but I guess the goal, what would you say, the diamond in the haystack for me out of everybody,
The diamond in the haystack. What the
whatever. Man.
I always am looking for diamonds in the haystack. You're either
The
looking
needle-
for a diamond in the rough or a needle in the haystack.
The needle in
diamond
the
in
rough.
the rough, sure. The needle in the rough, sure. The diamond, yeah. Is the moon? I'm gonna be purchasing that Moon Sorrow here in a little bit. Yeah, that was a great album.
excellent.
Goddamn right.
Yeah, great musicianship.
Maybe you ought to buy the Nugent album that you picked. You're subjecting me to three listens.
Should I buy 3 albums of Ted?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I'll just
Send 'em
take
to
a
the
Sharpie and go Pat 1, Pat 2, Pat 3.
That's what I'm gonna
I
say.
I know what you're getting for Christmas next year, Jason. I'm gonna get you that album.
Every
Yeah.
time Nick complains about one of my picks, I'll say, "Look, dude, you're gonna get through it because Pat got through Nugent 3 times.
Yeah, I'm
times.
stunned.
You can get through mine once."
Especially for those listening. I told these guys, I'm like, just stop after track 2. Just stop. And Nick was probably like,
you know what I
"Thank
did? You know what I did, Jason? On that album, I flots till death. I didn't flots till it showed. I fucking flots till death on that Nugent record. 3 fucking times.
Flots till death 3.
I mean, that flots till it shows. That's my biggest takeaway from this episode. I'm gonna think about that and be like, what a half-assed answer, or half-assed, like, what the fuck does that mean?
Till it shows.
Hey, give just a basic effort. Yeah.
Flots till it shows.
Great.
Well,
Well-
oh my God, you guys, I love you. And that's the alcohol talking.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
Nice. That's some damage.
did I do some damage?
Yeah.
Yeah, Josh just walked in. He's like, "Holy shit, Dad, you fucking
You must have been
love."
listening to Corporate Kalani.
Yeah. He's like, "Dad, let's go listen to some Finnish folk metal."
Got to get the row machine out for him.
There you go. The row pit.
That's funny. All right, guys. I love you. I gotta bounce.
Oh,
Yeah,
man, so much fun.
Later, Nick.
Yeah.
Thanks again, man.
Soon.
Hey, Nick,
Maybe
are you
you-
skiing? Are you skiing on
Yeah.
Hood?
Tomorrow, yeah.
Are you on Hood?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's rad. Ski or
I'll
boarding?
ski till it shows.
You'll ski till it skiing or you're skiing. God bless you, man.
All right.
Beauty.
Love you guys. Be easy.
Uh,
You too. Later,
good
man.
night. Say hello to Erica.
Oh yeah.
Right on.
All right. Well, yeah. I guess we can end this now.
Yeah, Josh is gonna need to drive me to I'm so freaking hungry right now. It's an in and out evening.
Oh, go get a double.
Yeah, I will with extra grilled onions. Yeah.
Well, yeah. This is great, man. Everybody's picks were great. So,
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah, for sure.
I got to give that Fates another listen.
Nah, you don't.
No, I mean,
You don't like Ray. I get it.
but it's
I
like
totally
I
get
like
it.
I own the damn thing, and it's Fates Warning. So,
For me, Pat, I didn't bring that up during the episode, but for me, it's kind of like with David and Mike in Metal Church.
Yeah.
I love Mike too. I love both.
Mhm.
Okay, for me personally, I love both. In Fates, I love both, but for you, it's just that first guy. There was no replacement, and I totally.
Well, I
get
mean,
it.
I do like Mike Howe infinitely more than Ray Alder. It's not about